We are live, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome to SACRE meeting, February 21st, 2023. Just as our opening thought, if you want an opening thought, today is Shrove Tuesday. I started the day by giving pancakes to a load of primary head teachers here in Thatcham, and they told me and the rest of us who were there all about the current state of mental health amongst their children in primary schools, and they reported that West Berkshire is sky high in terms of the need for additional support for children all over the district. So why that is, no one knew, but why we are worse than things like other places in Berkshire and elsewhere that you'd have thought would have a greater need, we don't know. But Tony's going to answer it, I think.
Well, firstly, Jo Stewart, who's now recovering from a cold and antibiotics, who's the adult social service lead. She's our council's mental health champion. Also, Laura Farris, who is the MP for the Newbury constituency, is really into this on CAMS and other things. And I think it would be a good idea if you contact her, David, on this, and so we can pass it through.
Yeah, I mean, it was only 5 head teachers, so anecdotal, I suppose, but
it's still important, you know, for the primaries there, because it could affect the whole district.
Thank you, Tony. Anyway, I just thought I would let you know that. They weren't kind of depressed and despairing or anything, but it was obviously weighing heavily upon them. Hello, Dilip, welcome. Go on, Val.
Can I just say I heard a talk by somebody from the Charlie Waller Trust, which is based in Thatcham, yesterday, which is all about mental health. And the discussion there was that CAMS have got a 4-year waiting list in this area. So a child that needs help with CAMS doesn't get it because on a 4-year waiting list, by which time they've committed suicide, sadly. But the Charlie Waller Trust is doing great things nationally and is raising huge amounts of money to send out resources. And I didn't know whether we should somehow link that through SACRE to our head teachers. I don't know whether it's appropriate to do that, but it's all resources for training, for teachers to use, primary school, secondary school. And they're shoving out lots of stuff. It's all free. It's all free. And they've got an amazing website if anybody wants to look at it.
But I mean, we also, as a responsibility for children's social services, we have responsibility for academies for mental health and other safeguarding issues. So we're responsible for that. We're also on the Buckinghamshire, Oxfordshire and Berkshire West, or Bob as it's called, and Graham Bushman is the chairman of the Health and Wellbeing Board on the council. So these sorts of things should be raised through them as well. I'm on the Joint Health Scrutiny Panel. As well, we've only had our second meeting, we're our third one, and CAMS is important. So there are procedures that we do need to do, and I understood there was a 2-year wait, but you know, we do with what Farah said, this is urgent that we need to deal with it. You know, not everybody's going to commit suicide, but we also have suicide prevention as well. So it is very important that we progress on there, and there is a lot of voluntary work, if there is in the churches and whatever, and other religious institutions, and in helping people, and especially with you know, the crisis on energy costs and living and food kitchens and food banks. And councils are heavily involved with that, as is the council. We've just got, the government's put in, I think, over £900 million for the authorities to spend on assistance. And the council obviously puts money into those programmes for the money we get as an upper tier authority. So there is extra money going through, and we have used it to help the most deprived in our area, and also signpost people elsewhere.
Thank you both. I will take note of the Charlie Waller Trust. But yeah, thank you. It's obviously a really live issue. Anyway, That was just my opening thought. That wasn't even on the agenda. Apologies. Do we have any apologies, Jack? I don't think. Oh, I've received one.
Yes.
There were a couple of emails.
Billy.
We have received apologies from Claire Hawkins,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
an of CEO, Chris Ward, and Councillor Lynn Doherty.
Billy Drummond sent us an email. Billy.
Yeah.
Billy,
Billy,
yeah.
That's it, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
So how is Claire, by the way?
Something about being pregnant and
That's what I asked you. Has she had a baby yet?
no, apparently not. Perhaps the shock of missing this meeting will bring on labour. Yeah. Okie doke. So membership. Robin Sharples, as we know, has nicked off to Bracknell to be a vicar. So we need to find someone else for Group B. I did approach Simon Thorne. Do you remember?
Yeah.
At the last meetings, V was suggesting Simon Thorne, and he seemed like a really good bloke, but he just got back to me saying he was too busy. So, so Val, any other thoughts?
Well, the lady I'd been trying to get in touch with, who'd been put forward as a name, just has not got back to me. So I've emailed her twice and then I've written to her, but I've had no response at all. The only other thing I was thinking of, I was wondering whether to get in touch with the group at St. Nick's Church and ask and write to them and say, was there anyone, because they've got a fairly large group of people and they work with young people.
Yes.
He's also involved with the Real initiative as well. And Councillor Stephen Masters knows him well. Is he from St John's, isn't it? Or I've got the wrong church, haven't I?
Sorry, I didn't quite. Did you give a name then, Tony? I didn't quite hear a name. Did you say a name?
Yeah, I think the pastor in St John's church is also pretty active on the Worms Home initiative.
Gary Collins. Gary.
Yeah,
Reverend Gary.
Yeah.
I know him. I could definitely try him. Yeah.
Yeah, and try the person in St Nick's as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll follow those two up for you, David. I'll see if I can.
That's brilliant, Val. Thank you very much. Hello, Berkshire. Nice to see you.
Well, I couldn't find the link, so I eventually found it. I don't know. It was just.
I also had that problem.
We're just trying to avoid you. That's what it is.
And you failed.
And we failed. That's right. Yeah.
Apologies for late joining it. So.
Okay.
Sorry, David. I fell foul of the same thing as well. So I was sitting on Teams for a while, all on my own.
You have our sympathies.
Thank you.
Well, we're here. We're here. Thank you. Yes, my email went down and I couldn't even see the link anyway. So, right. Minutes. Do you want to do this, Jack? Hello.
Sorry. Just to ask if anyone has any amendments they would like to make to the minutes of the previous meeting. No? Okay, well then, I'm not sure what the exact procedure is. I think we've just proposed to accept those as a true and correct record of the previous meeting.
Lovely. Thank you for all your work on that for us, Jack, getting the minutes all done. The actions, are there any actions that aren't on the agenda? Not that I could see. I know that anyone else can see. Okay then, so going to number 5, exam results. So I have gone to NASACA and said help, and so far they haven't got back to me, which is a shame, but I'm hoping for a reply, because the situation, as we know, isn't really, we need to be able to see the exam results in order to monitor what's going on at that stage, and we don't just get them through the council now. So short of going to each individual school, I thought it might be just, perhaps this is what we pay our 105 Nebraska for. So, yeah, I've asked the question anyway.
Okay.
So I think that's as much as I can report on that at the moment.
David, I could just say that I think the reason they haven't got back to you is that they are currently having a chat about this themselves, because they're aware that all SACRAs are basically in the same position here, that we are no longer given access to data that we simply have to have. So they need to have a unified response to give us some advice on how to act. I'll see if I can find out a bit more, but I'm fairly sure that's what's going on.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I imagine that's the case. Good. Collective worship. David, Chris Ward has sent us. I don't know whether you can see this or whether I can share this on the screen. Shall I attempt to share screen?
Yeah.
Yep, I've made you a co-host, so you should be able to. Okay,
thank you. Trouble is, I don't do as many Zoom meetings these days. You forget how to do it.
There should be. Yeah, there you are.
There we go. So this is the Willink Schools collective worship policy. Students at the Willink School participate in weekly assemblies and 4 tutor group sessions. That's the same, more or less the same as Kennet. I don't know how it refers to relates to other schools. So it's the normal thing there of values of a broadly Christian character whilst learning about respecting other people's beliefs. That's standard language, really. And the rest. And then the normal thing about you can withdraw your child at the end if you want to. So pretty standard stuff, really, but I thought I'd just show it to you because it does at least show that at least one of our secondary schools has a policy, which is great. At Kennet, they have changed things a little bit more recently to try and tie it in with PSHE, I know. And I think we're probably still in the dark as to a lot of other schools. So I wondered what you felt is the next stage for this, really. I wondered about a little questionnaire out to schools to see what's happening. Amanda, I think you might be of use to us here in terms of, if you as the head or the person in charge of assemblies got a little questionnaire, how likely would you be to fill it in and return it?
Well, I do think it would be good to send a questionnaire out to schools. Obviously, can't guarantee how many we'd hear back from, but obviously I could mention about it at my network meetings. Dave could do it at his network, and hopefully that will kind of garner enough interest that people will start returning it. But I think that's probably a good starting point to see what responses we get and then kind of choose what to do from there.
Thank you. Any other thoughts from anybody? I think I could produce a little questionnaire that wouldn't be too heavy and hopefully get some.
I think it's a really good idea. As a governor, I'd be quite interested to see what other schools do. I suspect that our head probably has an idea because of networking with other heads, perhaps when the subject comes up. But it's not something, as governors, we just about know what happens at our school, but very little to compare it with from elsewhere. And as we know, from, for example, the problems we've had at Park House, some things, some schools are very much better than others at this sort of thing. So I think it would actually be really good. And it is a bit disappointing sometimes when schools don't respond to surveys. I'm not about this subject, but for example, road safety or cycling, and it's kind of baffling really when one or other of the councils sends these things out and we don't get the response. I know heads are very busy and school officers are very busy, but it doesn't take long to fill something out like this. So I think it'd be a really good idea to have a go with this.
I just know, some of these things are at the very bottom of the pile when it comes to head teachers' workload. So I'm not surprised that not many. David was next, I think.
Yeah, there's a few things here. I mean, first of all, I think it's, as we all know, schools get an awful lot of requests for things like this. And having worked in a school for donkey's years, I know that when you put aside a little bit of time to fill something in, something happens that prevents you doing that. And it's usually whether, a child, SLT, parent, you name it, all sorts of things can kick off at any moment. And things like that do get pushed down. The thing with any kind of survey on this, the responses you get are from people who are doing the right thing, usually, because they're very happy for you to know that. If you don't get a response, sometimes it's because they're not doing it and they don't want you to know they're not doing it. And another option, of course, is sometimes you might fill one in with something you're not doing at all. Because who's going to actually put their hands up and say, do you know what, we're breaking the law? So we are limited in the things that we can do. It is definitely worth trying, because even if places aren't doing it, us sending the questionnaire out, there's a bit of a shot across the bows to say, we'd like to know what's going on, not in a threatening way, obviously, but it might kickstart them to think about having a look at it again. So yeah, I'd support that. This is, again, just with my experiences of other SACRAs, this is something we talk about a lot. And there is no sort of universal fixed thing that we can do that will give us a clear picture. But I think it is worth trying. But yeah, let's keep it nice and brief. So we could have a little bit of a look and see what other SACRAs have done about their questionnaires and seeing if we could borrow some of their questions.
Well, that would be great.
I'll have a look, see if I can find something that's already been done.
Oh, thanks, David. That would save me time. Tony?
Yeah, obviously, our contact with independent schools and academies, I think they'll be excluded from this, but, I don't know if we could find out what they're doing, or they may not appreciate it. I don't know.
We don't know until we ask, really. I just don't think we have asked. Certainly in my time on SACRA here, I don't think we've really asked schools very much about this. Okay, lovely. Well, if David can perhaps find out if this has been done already. Oh, sorry, Dilip.
Sorry, I was going to ask, how many surveys do you think we'd want to send out? Numbers wise.
How do you, is one? I'd have thought.
Sorry, how many schools would you want to send it out to?
Oh, well, there are, what have we got? We've got 11 secondary schools, is it? And about 50 primary schools?
Yeah. Because what I was going to suggest was it's not too onerous a task, but perhaps we could do chaser phone calls just to remind them after having sent it to them.
I can imagine doing that for, we could divide up the secondary school between us, for example, but
yeah.
Is that what you were thinking?
Well, I was just thinking, I mean, if there are volunteers within our team here to take 5 or 10 from their list and make phone calls on a round robin fashion, just to see if we can G them up a bit.
Ah, well, maybe that would help.
I think this is going to be a bit of a shotgun approach here, but yeah, we try it. Anyway, it's a thought. Happy to help out if it means just making some phone calls.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm happy to draw up a list, and then if you feel you can, because we have a decent amount of time in between our meetings, don't we? So
We do.
you know, you wouldn't have to be doing it next week, as it were.
I would suggest we mail out email or whatever it is, mail out the survey anyway in advance. And then the call can be a little reminder.
Yeah. Well, shall I maybe email everyone after the meeting? Because some people here may feel they can do that, but others may not feel they can do that.
Absolutely, agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I perhaps contact people after the meeting and just see who might be able to do a bit of that.
This is a survey for a survey.
Well, you know,
anything that works. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Anything that works.
Some of us might not be back, so I think it might be sensible that you can leave out the councillors for the time being.
Oh, unless you do all 5 of yours next week, Tony.
That's a lot.
I won't be able to report it to you if I'm not in the calculator.
Oh, this is the time of year when we need to be so kind to our councillors, don't we? They're feeling very vulnerable. Yes. Okay. Anything more on collective worship? Let me just write that down then. Right. The budget update and action plan from David, isn't it?
Oh, am I on view? No, there we go. Okay, now the action plan is part of the package, page 11 and 12 by my reading, and the budget follows it. So I don't think there's anything very different we're doing this year when it comes to the budget. I confess I don't exactly know whether we've reverted back to the 900 for the hub, because I know we had a slightly reduced figure when we had a little bit of a slush fund, but we are working towards the agreed syllabus. And with that in mind, because it'll be very important, obviously we're a big part of that. I've just heard back from Claire, who apparently is due to give birth in 4 to 6 weeks, but has said in typical Claire fashion that she's desperate to be involved in the new agreed syllabus. So she's not envisaging being off for very long. However, we shall see.
Just the next 18 years, yes.
Well, absolutely, yes. I think 20 years before we get a sensible word out of the poor girl. So yeah, core business is part A of the action plan on page 11, which has got things that have changed recently. In point 7, we've sort of strengthened the monitoring and offering guidance on collective worship, because it had sort of dropped off the radar. We've been very RE focused, which is absolutely my passion, and I was very happy about that. But we do need to keep an eye on the collective worship thing, so I will check and see if there are surveys out there. What I do with the columns on the right-hand side, as you can see, sometimes I'm collapsing these now because they are an ongoing thing, and we bring certain things to it. So we will always bring a review about what's going on with the agreed syllabus, what's going on with collective worship, what's going on with the annual reports, and so on. So I would just sort of, before I go any further, does anyone have any questions about the A part of it, which is our statutory things, the things we have to do, like write the report, attend meetings, review the action plan, and so on? I mean, that is fairly straightforward, and it's what we do, but I just wanted to give you the opportunity to say anything if you wanted to. If there's a stony silence, I'll carry on. I'll carry on. Column B and C. Some of these things are things that are up for consideration, so they're ideas, that things we can do with budgetary, you know, if we've got the opportunity. And what we have done since the pandemic is do the newsletter and the networks, which I think are going well, but I would say that because I'm involved in them. I would once again ask for any contributions from any SACRE members for the newsletters to My next one will go out probably the end of the first or beginning of second week of term. So it will be sometime in April. So if anyone has anything you would like advertised, a resource, an event, anything that you think West Berkshire teachers would benefit from that I might not know about, then please let me know. Similarly, Amanda, can you make sure you let me know about any network you're running? Because I sometimes don't put that in and I really should. Anything from the faith communities, of course, and worldviews, that would be greatly received too. So any festival you'd like, any resource, any speakers, anything like that, any places that are good to visit. That I know, having spoken to teachers, is what they're still really interested in, that lived experience and getting good people to come and talk and places to go. And we are now finding that schools are able to get out a bit more, not all of them, but the doors are a bit more open than they were. So that's what the B section for, is to support the teachers of RE to help improve. And C links us in with the hub, because one of the things we might have put in B would be a teachers conference, which is, I always think, a fantastic thing. As a former RE leader who spent his entire career in a department of one, to meet with other RE departments is just like literally, you know, it's heaven on earth. And you get the chance to share ideas and get CPD and so on. We would normally have that in B, but we are in a unique situation within Pan Berkshire because we do have the hub. And so it would be, I believe, if we're running one, and I would hope we would, but you see it in the bottom of C, the core column C, to inform schools and contribute / participate in a hub conference. I know the hub is at the moment getting a little bit bogged down with what's going on with the agreed syllabus, because we still don't actually have anyone really leading that. Anne is doing a great job, but can't do the syllabus on her own. And we know that Pan Berkshire doesn't want to go down an RE Today model, so there's still lots of discussions going on there. But a teachers conference, I think, is always a good thing. I've also mentioned there, of course, the Real People, Real Faith. Anytime we do anything, we mention those, so that will always appear in the newsletter, because there'll always be new RE coordinators from one term to the next. So just anything anybody would like to ask about either columns B or C, or anything I've missed that should be there. Okay. Thank you. So the page that follows, the budget, shows basically how the action plan comes about, really, what we do with it. Obviously, these things are always up for negotiation. There might be some things you want to do instead. So again, as a SACRE, if you wanted to do something and spend some money on the collective worship side of things rather than something else, then that, you know, we just make certain cuts and move certain things around. We pay the NASICA fee every year for £105, which I think is worth it, because they've got a new website. They're building up a real sort of repository of useful documents and training things. There's training events for SACRE members as well, one of which I've put in the chat bar. So I don't know whether you spotted that earlier, but I've put a flyer in, which hopefully if you click it will open. And it's the Southwest SACRE conference, which comes up on Monday the 6th of March. So it's not too far away. So it's an afternoon between 1 till 4. It is just £15 per delegate, which is ridiculously cheap, to be honest, because it's an online thing. But there's some truly superb things there. Trevor Cooling is the keynote speaker, major figure in the world of RE for many, many years, talking about, you know, he's the chair of the Religious Education Council, just really, really important. And the other workshops, they've got some big names there. Deborah Weston, who is the person that is constantly on the political side of things, trying to raise the status of RE with government. Adam Robertson is a member of RE Today. He was formerly a teacher. He's now involved in, I think, the Diocese of Bristol as well. He is an experienced seminar workshop leader. Claire Clinton is, well, she's involved in RE Online. Ed Pawson is on everything. He is Learn, Teach, Lead coordinator in the Southwest. Dave Francis, I mean, these are big names in the world of RE. I shall stop now because it sounds like I've got celebrity sort of eyes on here. But these are people who've been there, seen it. And run it.
I think you've got a question from Tony.
Oh, okay. Have I got a question?
Yeah, I've just been looking at the budget, and I know we've got Zoom £200.
Yeah, we can drop that now. We can drop that.
Yeah, because the council is moving from after May to Teams because it doesn't cost us anything, rather than £5,000 a year.
Okay, Teams is utterly horrendous, but I totally get that.
Well, I know, but that's the decision.
Yeah, well, no, that's a lot of councils have done that.
Laptops anyway for councillors after May, so they're getting new Dell laptops. So
let's remove that then.
So I just thought I'd mention that.
Yep. No, that's not a problem. I mean, I will still keep Zooming because I'll do it with the networks, but it doesn't need to come out of the budget. I'll sort that out somewhere else.
But that would be for the next year's budget, wouldn't it? Which is item 8. It won't change anything for this current year's budget, will it?
It's that one that we're looking at there, the one that starts in April then.
I don't know whether you've just seamlessly moved on into item 8, but actually that was, oh yes, it's got your name against. Actually, that was me.
Yes, I would hope so. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that about the laptops, but if we just stick with the current year for the time being, Tony, what you just said doesn't affect this year's budget, does it?
No, I don't think so, but it's really for next year's budget.
Yeah. So
it's after April, so
that's the thing I need to
in between that. But
finish on item 7.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. It's really important to know. I think actually I have probably finished. It's a question of inviting comments from you guys, and if there's anything else you think you'd rather do, or anything you'd like to move around a bit, something you'd like to strengthen, that's what's always up for debate.
Yeah.
And sort of, I am here to do your bidding, so please ask.
I'd like to say thank you, David. I think that's always really well presented. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Val. I appreciate that.
The other point I have to David Taylor is I take part in other meetings, and we move from Zoom to Teams, and we move back very quickly because Teams wasn't working for 50% of the people.
It's ghastly, but anyway.
So, we as a SACRE, we might decide we have to come back onto Teams and find a way of getting in on the Zoom.
David, Chair, can I just say, we don't want to get bogged down in this, but I know nothing about this. It's not been discussed by members. If I have anything to do with it, and let's see who's in a position to maybe change this after May, but it's a ridiculous decision, and hopefully the council will rethink it, because everyone I know agrees with what has just been said by Val and by others about Zoom, about Zoom v Teams. And if it's a decision taken by the IT department, then presumably it can be changed to another decision. If it's a decision taken by the executive of the council, well, we'll have a different executive.
Yes.
Let's
just. I think it's executive led.
We will. I will just deal with that under item 8. But can we just finish on item 7 for the moment, which is about the action plan and this year's budget? I would agree with Val to say thank you so much to David for what he's done with the action plan.
Yeah.
And all the things that go with that. Any other comments on that? Okay, so if not, item 8 was really me saying this is the budget that I can see for the next year. It's exactly the same as last year. We don't normally have this item until the summer SACRE, but it always seems to me a little bit after the event when, obviously we don't know how much money we're going to be given until we're given it, but I'm hoping and assuming it's going to be the same. Well, actually, I'm hoping it's going to be more because we are doing an agreed syllabus and they should be giving us more. But I'm actually not sure whether that's going to happen. David always reminds us that, you know, that's what we need to ask for, and I have asked for it, but I haven't heard anything back about that. So I'm not quite sure what to do now, to be honest. But on what you were just talking about there, that Zoom thing, you know, we can change our figures when we actually know what it is. Obviously, we're going to meet in person in the summer, so it won't apply. But we will hope to meet online or hybrid for the other meetings of the year, so it will apply then. I guess we'll just have to see, won't we, what the decision is. Jack, do you know what would happen if I, with my church account, decided to invite all of you to a meeting? Would that count as a Sacre meeting, or does it have to be done on a council?
All I was going to say is that the move to democracy teams have been raised with this. I don't know whether it was final, but it has been sort of talked about with us in Democratic Services. I'm not certain what the exact decision is yet, what exactly is happening, but it has been raised. As far as I know, it wouldn't matter where whose Zoom account was hosting, just that it was being live streamed and, you know, hosted from within the council. I don't think who owns the Zoom account specifically matters.
Okay, well, maybe that's a decision we can take later on then, when we know a bit more. I think maybe for this part of, well, we don't need to have our little time without David Rees, but that's for the next meeting really. But I just thought I would put the proposed budget on so you could have a look at it. Obviously there's that slight movement over whether we pay for Zoom or not. But does anyone else have any comments about whether there's anything else we ought to spend money on next year? I think the main concern for me, like I say, is about the agreed syllabus and funding for that. Jack, just remind me, who is the new Vicky Pierce? In other words, who is in charge of our financing now?
I'm not sure, sorry. I'd have to raise that with Janet.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know she'd gone. Has she gone back now then?
She's no longer in the job that she was in. I think that's true to say. Don't know whether anyone else knows, but I think that's true. I certainly haven't heard from her for a long time. Yeah. I think that's probably something to follow up on then, isn't it? I think what I'd better do is go back to the last email that I sent about that and try and resend it to somebody, because I'm not sure. I can just imagine we're going to get our same allocation of funds and no one will have thought we need extra because of the agreed syllabus. Okay, give that to me as an action then, Jack. I'll try and follow up on that one. Okay, 9 is on schools, primary and secondary network. Oh, sorry, David.
David, I've just gone back through an email and found one from Vicky saying that the person following on from her is someone called Bev Batty.
Oh, yes.
And another name I've got is Alison Redmond, but I think she's to do with invoicing. So I think Bev Batty is the person who has been, that's it. Bev Batty has been appointed to the post I am leaving, and she started in March last year.
That's right. I've had one email from her, I think, at least. Yeah, that's true. Okay, leave me to follow up on that one. Hope it's not me that's dropped the ball on that. Don't think it is. Anyway, yes. Should we move on to item 9?
Yep, networks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the secondary network, next one is on the 21st of March, which I will go along to, and I will ask then about the exam results. I know that they've had a recent change in personnel of people who are leading it, It did used to be Winnie, but I think it's moved to someone else now. But I'll try and get that put on as an agenda thing, because they very kindly usually give me a little slot at the end just as a bit of a Sacre update, so I can tell them what we're doing, but also ask them to keep us informed of what's going on. So we're quite fortunate that we, we do have a little place at the table there. So yeah, that's coming up in the next few weeks. Primary ones are, I'm just having to sort out a change of date because there was a clash with, there's lots of different RE little groups doing different networks in different areas, and there were some through the Wiltshire diocese that had some hub lead ones. So because I'm covering a couple of areas with some of these, I'm trying to invite people into to network together. There was a bit of a clash, so I'm changing that date, but it will be in March. And I need to make sure I don't clash with Amanda as well. But yeah, they're always going well. People are very good from West Berkshire at coming along. We've got a really good core group of people who come along every time, very keen to share. And what we did with last time, we actually had someone from the ICRA school in Slough to share his curriculum of how he was structuring his RE right the way through from early years to year 6. People found that very, very interesting to see. And then we had a bit of a Q&A because he was talking a little bit about ways to teach Islam, and it was just very, very interesting. People found that really good to have, a conversation with a Muslim teacher who was going through what they were going through with the same syllabus. And they just found that, as I say, it's an opportunity that's really worth having. So that went down really well. We'll always try to connect people in that sort of way and hopefully build. There were a few schools that connected with each other after that, and we'll go on to work together, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what we're hoping for with these network meetings, isn't it? That sort of thing. What about you, Amanda? Is it, because I know you have your own meeting, don't you?
Yes, I have my network meeting happening in 2 weeks today.
Oh, right. What date's that again?
That's, let me double check.
That's okay. 8th.
Yes, that should be.
Oh, no, it's only Tuesday.
On the 7th of March. Yep, so I've got my network then. I think our focus at our network is going to be on assessment. One of the things that I'm getting from a lot of primary teachers is about assessment in RE and how to go about it. And it's a really tricky one. So kind of any support or guidance would be greatly appreciated. Also, it's maybe something to consider with the review of the agreed syllabus, maybe including some guidance or further guidance about assessment would be useful, because that is something that comes up a lot. And I have spoken to a secondary school. They asked me to come in to have a look at their assessment in Key Stage 3, just to kind of see if they're doing the right things and things. So assessment is quite a focus for a lot of our schools at the moment.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the networks. Anything else on that one? That's item 9. We obviously will, individual schools will come back to at the end of the meeting in part 2. Moving on then to number 10, item 10. I'm not quite sure whether you all know this now or not, but what we've decided to do at the hub is to try and meet with Zoom meetings with representatives of each individual faith or worldview in order to gather their wisdom on what ought to be included at each key stage in the new syllabus. So, for example, I'm going to host the Christianity one. I've got 2 4:30 meetings coming up in March. Got a really good diverse group of Christians together to give their views on what ought to be in the syllabus. And the idea is that representatives of other faiths will do the same. So I think, Dilip, you're doing one, aren't you?
We're hoping to.
Yeah.
Unless there's an email telling me what more I need to do.
No.
Okay. David's frozen.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've lost him.
I know he did have a problem with coming on.
Mm. He said he had an internet connection problem earlier, didn't he?
Yeah, I had to send him a link. Let's see, what can we do about that?
Hmm.
So Dilip, while we are waiting, so are you setting up any meetings? Because I did have a, I was thinking about doing the similar thing. So yeah.
I'm just going to text him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, might be better. So Bashir, I'm not quite sure, because I did express an interest in doing that, but nothing's moved further since. I mean, David seems to be well ahead of the curve, but I did say I was very happy to do that.
Yeah, I think David reached out to me as well. He wanted to have a chat, but it didn't go any further. Just thinking maybe I need to drive something myself,
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Find out from David who's kind of driving that, and then we can perhaps try and progress that.
Yeah.
He says the internet's gone down. Can we carry on? And he'll get in when he can. I'll keep an eye on that.
Okay. Guess it's over to you, Amanda.
You can put chair of Sacre on your resume.
Right. Well, let me just bring up the agenda on my phone again.
I think we're on point 14 now, aren't we? So
point 14.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. I was going to say.
Just been a wee bit tricky.
10.1, 10.2.
Right. So, Dave, would you like to carry on talking about the hubs?
Oh Lord, that was actually David is more of the lead on this. I do go along. Right. Okay. New syllabus update. Now then, as I sort of hinted at earlier, this is at some stage the hub has to decide who's going to run this. Writing an agreed syllabus is not easy, because there's obviously a mixture of the statutory things that you have to do, which are never fun to read, but also you've got to bear in mind what teachers really need, which is advice and guidance on what to teach, when to teach, how to teach, all that sort of, there's an awful lot of syllabuses out there with very little content in it, and it's left up to the schools to decide. Now that can be good, but they do need some guidance. Our last syllabus was pared down, deliberately so, to redress some problems with the previous one. But I think the move from teachers and the mood from the hub was to make sure we had a slightly more there was more content, should we say, in this one. We'd have a bit more flesh on the bones of the next one. I'm desperately trying now to multitask, because David's asked for the code again, but he doesn't have email, so it's quite a long code. Jack, do you know the code that I can just sort of text to him to get in, as if you were coming in through a phone? I was on your original email. I better try and get him back in, because I know he is a pretty he's gosh, sorry about this, everyone.
Yeah, I've got the code if you want.
Right. No, it's the big one, but I think with the 8 in front of it.
Yeah, I got that one.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'll text that to him now, if you can read it to me.
Yeah, it'll be easier, because I can't seem to cut it and paste.
I was going to suggest that it be sent over chat, because theoretically anyone could hear it and join.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. That's why we need you, Jack. Yeah. Okay, yeah, if you can pop that you could either pop it in the chat or directly to me, and I will.
Is it that? Dave?
Yeah, I think it's the bottom bit he needs. So I'll do that without reading it out for the obvious reason. And then if he appears, then it's right. If not, we'll have to try something else. Right.
And he's going to need the passcode as well.
Well, I think he got him without that before. I've already sent him that on a previous
All right.
text.
Okay.
So let's see if he comes back. This is going to be fascinating viewing for anyone who's going to be tuning in on this later. But yeah, basically, let's hope he comes back. But yeah, we at some stage a decision has to be made about who's going to run this, who's going to lead it. Anne Andrews is doing the chairing of the hub at the moment. She, as we know, works for the Oxford Diocese rather. She is not going to be able to run this. Aha, he's coming back. She's not going to be able to run this, so somebody will have to do it. We will have a decision to make about whether we buy an off-the-shelf one, which I would not recommend, whether we keep something local, whether we look at another new one and see if we can piggyback off that. For example, a really good syllabus has just come out in the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole one. And Dorset are going to be adopting that as well. So what Dorset actually did is bought it off BCP, and then they will Dorsetify it. So they'll make it a bit more sort of Dorset friendly, should we say. Now, a lot of those schools cover rural areas and so on. Our cohort will be different, but what this new syllabus does, which is really good, is it takes on board all the things that happened in the last 5 years. So to be a real religion and worldview approach, it'll still be heavily focusing on inquiry questions, which is what all decent people are doing in RE. It's up to date with things like assessment. It's up to date with content and to do with lived experience, what we now call religions, what they like to call themselves, that sort of thing. It's really, really fresh. I think it'd be a good idea for us to have a look at it because it's public domain and we should be able to see. It's only RE Today ones that you can't see because they protect them, because they sell them, which I think is illegal, but there you go. They seem to get away with it. So that's the decision we'll have to make at some stage through the hub, is about who's going to run it, what it's going to look like, and then roll out the timescale. So David, I've just filled them in about a little bit about the syllabus. Do you have anything to add to that? I don't know how much you heard, but
no. So sorry, I dropped that, and thanks for getting me back in, David.
No worries.
No, I mean, obviously we've postponed till 2024 for the publication, but you know, it keeps rolling towards us. So these questions are going to get a bit more urgent. Yeah. No, thank you for just filling in there.
Yep, no worries. Does anybody want to ask anything about the syllabus?
Yes, I do. David, it's Berkshire.
Hello.
You reached out to me about having a meeting, and I was just thinking, you know, what you're doing on the Christianity side. Do I need to do something similar? You know, yeah, I just wanted to understand, is there any guidelines I would need to follow, or I just set up something myself?
Did I not send that to you, Mubashir? There's I think it's called Conversation Starter or something. There's an A4 sheet that I've sent round, or Anne Andrews. You may have had it from Anne Andrews. I'll make sure that you get it anyway. Yeah, there are some guidelines.
Okay, I think I'll have a look at that and start something. What was the deadline? You said 24th of the deadline for this?
Is there a deadline for this?
No, maybe I heard something wrong.
No, I think what Moshe is talking about is when the syllabus might be released. Is
that
what you mean? Because there was a delay in that, wasn't it? Because we decided that it would. There was no point in rushing it until we really knew what we wanted, and if we're going to do it, let's do it properly. So I think they're pushing it back till 2024 as a release of the syllabus. Means we then have a bit more time to, because one of the things we do need to do is consult with faith and religion and worldview communities about what specific guidance you would like to see in there. We did that last time with about the inquiry questions, see whether you're happy with those. What will happen this time is to check to see whether you're still happy with those, or whether they need to change, they need to be refreshed and updated, or whether we've missed something, or what sort of content. I mean, a lot of the questions that I ask to religious communities now is, what do you want children up to the age of 11 to know about your religion or worldview? You know, what is it that we should be teaching about those core beliefs? Because we're aware that sometimes we may be taught stereotyped stuff, or it hasn't been nuanced enough, and that's where we need to hear from you guys about your faith and what you think is important for us to teach. So that will happen. It certainly will happen if I have anything to do with it, and I know Amanda feels the same.
I'll put you in touch with all that, Berkshire. Definitely, yeah. And you're still on the same email, are you?
Still on same email, yeah.
Okay.
Hotmail.com, yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Can I just ask David Rees, how come the Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole syllabus is so well ahead? Have they managed to, have they got a better hub, or have they?
No, it sometimes it's one of those classic things where the bigger something is, the harder it is to actually coordinate, because we're operating 6 sacres together, which is, I don't know of many other areas that do that. There's 2 or 3 that share in some parts of the country, but we actually do a very good job of it. But the problem with it is there isn't actually someone who is in charge of it. We've got people who, you know, Anne has come to this role. She didn't really want it, to be honest. She wanted to share it or something. But with the previous syllabus, what they did was bought a consultant in to write it. So we had Jan Lever come in, and she helped us bring the syllabus into this pared down version. Now, she's just written the one in BCP as well, but it is a much bigger, fleshier one, because that's what BCP wanted. We needed to update ours and bring it in line with the religion and worldviews thinking that has been current in RE for the last 4 or 5 years. So what they had to do, the LA put out to tender people who wanted to write the syllabus. She bid for it along with a few other people. I don't know who they were. She got that contract. Then it went out. It was a very, very short time frame. It was, when we did the time frame, we were like, wow, this is quite tight. But she got it done, and we launched it in January of this year with a teachers conference with CPD and so on, and it was a really successful event. So they had a proper paper copy, old school, of a syllabus, which teachers like me, we like to annotate. I mean, you still have it online, but you need to have something in front of you to work out what's going on. So that's how BCP did it. Dorset recognized that they wouldn't have anyone within their framework who could write this, and because they had so much overlap with BCP, there was a bit of haggling, so they paid Bournemouth. So Bournemouth was able to recap some of the money that they spent in commissioning it by selling it to Dorset. And that's the sort of thing that's happening across the country. You have some 4 or 5 really good syllabuses that are basically being adopted by other areas.
Thank you. Well, I'm thinking at this stage, I mean, we're into 2023 now, and if Anne Andrews hasn't got time to work as that consultant did in BCP, then I'm just wondering if we should look at their syllabus and pay someone, because David Taylor, you did say we might need some more money. We pay someone to then look at it in terms of Berkshire. So we're looking at something, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're looking at it, and then we're going to tweak it. And I have a memory of a while ago, and it could be 3 years ago, when I think it might have been Claire who said, we don't want a massive change. We want it tweaking. We don't want you to give us a brand new syllabus where we have to completely start again. So I'm slightly anxious that, you know, we're trying as a hub of 6 sacres to come up with something brand new, when in fact that might not be what we want. I don't know.
David?
Yes, it does not have to be brand new. The way the syllabus that we've got, as I said, is quite skeletal, and putting flesh on those bones is a way forward. we would need to tweak it a little bit because a lot's happened in the last 5 years, and we know 2024 will have a big report coming out from the RE Today people who are, there's 3 different models that are sort of showing a national entitlement type thing, and that will come out summer of 2024. So that will be a big project for us to look at. Templeton project, I think it's called. So there's lots of work going on about this, and that's also what a little bit of that SACRE Southwest conference on the 6th of March is talking about. So yeah, we have a decision to make, but I think it is a good idea for us to look at what other people have done.
Yeah.
Because you know, around the country that there will be people in similar situations to ourselves. You know, our hub covers some very rural areas and some very sort of urban areas. So we have areas of not much diversity and areas of big diversity, and we've got to reflect that in our syllabus. But to commission, and the final point I would make actually is that SACRE's LAs do give, when it comes to the cycle of writing a syllabus, more money is made available for that in each LA each time. So it's every 5 years. So we would need to go to the LA and say, you know, this is coming, but we need that pot of money, because that's what gets spent on consultation, meetings to get people together to work on stuff, particularly teachers, and we all know how tough that is. But we know we've got people like Claire. We're lucky enough to have people like Amanda as well. So we do have excellent people within the hub who can be a part of this. But their schools, if they come out of schools, then some of their supply would need to be covered, and that's part of what that cost is for. So that's something for probably next year's budget.
Oh, next year's budget, you think?
Well, if we've delayed till 2024, because you write it, it depends, I think, when it comes out in 2024. If it's at the end, because I mean, Bournemouth's launched in 2023, so this January, and it's not an obvious time to release a syllabus, but we delayed it by a few months, and it's perfectly fine to do that as long as the LA knows, and as long as, you know, your current syllabus stays until your next one comes into being.
Yeah.
So as long as it is being reviewed, it doesn't actually matter how long that takes. But we just need to make sure that that money is available for that work to be done.
Yes, I was working on having to get it for this coming year, 2023.
It is actually the best idea, is to inquire now, because if we get that money, we make it available and get the work started.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So anything else on the new syllabus? Then we keep working on the Real People, Real Faith. There was an attempt, I think, to contact the Baha'i people here in West Berkshire. I'm not quite sure whether we've managed that or not, but we are doing. Is it Orthodox Synagogue now, David? I just can't remember actually.
I'm a bit out of the loop with which one they're doing. I'm still waiting to see the edited one of Humanism, to be honest, and that seems to have been rumbling on a long time. I know there was one particular Orthodox they were looking at. I thought there was a Christian Orthodox as well that was being looked at.
Right.
But yes, Jewish Orthodox, I believe, was part of.
Yeah.
But I don't have a timescale on that. I'd need to.
All right. Well, it rumbles on. And I did speak to somebody who was really excited about using it in the classroom, which is always nice to hear, isn't it?
And did you also see how many hits it had had? There was some. It was over 4,000, I think, or something.
Yeah, brilliant.
So that is really, really impressive, because of course it is available nationally on the NatRe website.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's move on then to the newsletter, which is you, David.
Right, that should still be on here as well, just scrolling down through everything. Oh no, it isn't. Right, okay. Newsletter's not in there, but I would have sent it out, or it would have gone round, or is it there?
I think it's.
Is it there?
Right.
No, I can't see it actually.
Oh no, that's the Southwest Conference thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Newsletter is still goes out the second week of term. So this one, as I say, it'll be mid-April. Whenever Easter is, it'll be the week after that. I always ask if there's anything you'd like put in it. So I would like sort of things to do with networks, things to do with things coming up within. As we know, I think I've said this earlier. So it's already been out. We're still doing it every term. We're getting good feedback from it. I'm always trying to put new links in as well. For example, when we went to Strictly RE in January, there was a talk by the Jewish Museum of London, and they were superb. They were absolutely superb. And their website is getting better and better all the time. There's little clips that we can use in class now, as well as artifacts to do with Judaism and so on. That's going to be a really helpful free website. So it's things like that that I can advertise, because teachers, as we know, we need free resources, online resources. So anything I can do like that, I'll put in. But if you know of anything, please let me know. Probably by first week in April, that would be great. Any questions about the newsletter? I will always put Real People, Real Faith in, and I'll always put stuff to do with what we're doing in the hub early, and then the national and other stuff will be later on, because we know how people have scroll down fatigue, as I think they call it now.
Is that what they call it?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's great. Thank you very much.
Sorry, question?
Yeah, did it? Yeah.
Sorry. My mouth went before my hand. I'm sorry. Who is the target audience for the newsletter?
Well, it's to go to every RE leader. So there will always be a mixture of things for anyone. Often we do find there's more going on in primary, or there's more need for resources with primary. Right. But I try to involve both wherever possible.
Right. So the Real People, Real Faith is kind of targeted to Key Stage 1 and 2, isn't it?
There's the Key Stage 3 ones as well.
Are there? Okay.
Yeah.
There is just FYI, BBC did some series called Being. I don't know if anybody came across those.
Yes, that's right.
And I think that's much wider scope, if you like. Again, then in a very similar style, ask a question and see how people do that. I don't know if you want the link. I do think it's probably worth trying to attract a wider audience if you can.
Yeah, I think one of the things we often try to do as well with the Beeb stuff, because I think they've got some great stuff, but they move them around every year, and they move them at about 2 or 3 times. So you go to find a clip, you clip on it, and it's not there anymore, and they never tell you. So I check these out every half term because of some work I do with another resource, just to see if they're there. So yeah, I think it's a good idea just to highlight. Some of these things each time. So I'll put one like that in next time. Thank you. So if you have any particular suggestion you want me to put in, then I can do that.
I'll show you the link that I have, which just seems to be still active. So
okay.
I'll put it on the chat here.
Yeah, lovely. I'll open that up and make a note of it.
Anything else on the newsletter want to ask? All right then. I've put equality and diversity on the agenda just to keep it on the agenda. I don't have anything particular to say. Does anybody else?
No.
Okay. And is there any other business in the main part of the meeting? Okay. So then the dates of the next meetings, we have agreed the date of the June meeting as the 6th of June. We have talked about coming to Newbury Mosque. I don't know whether you're in a position, Berkshire, to be able to definitely invite us, or whether that needs to be later.
Let me check and come back to you.
Thank you. Okay. If you could do that reasonably quickly, that would help, I think, just so that we'll know where we're going next time. Thank you so much. Tony?
6th of June, yeah?
Yeah, I wasn't at the last meeting, so what time was that? 4:30, was it?
Do you think that would work for you, Berkshire? In principle?
In principle, it will be okay, yeah, but I'll double check and come back.
Yeah, okay. I think we'd aim, if possible, we'd like to aim for 4:30 to 6 as usual.
Yeah.
But obviously it depends on folk there at the mosque. Yeah. And then should we just agree a date for November?
Yes, that would be good to get in the diary.
Yeah. How is November the 7th, as far as everyone can see?
I am away, I'm afraid. Sorry.
It's all right. We could do October the 31st, just to keep you all from your Halloween celebrations.
October 31. Yeah, that looks okay for me. I can't see anything.
Anyone else?
Is that a Tuesday?
I'm good for that. Yeah, it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. Should we go for that then? 31st of October. Lovely.
Thank you.
And I think that ends the recorded part of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Right.